How scary is Universal Fan Fest nights? I mean, with the lineup of Scooby-Doo meets the Universal Monsters, Dungeons and Dragons, Jurassic Park, Sailor Moon. Doesn't really sound like horror night. Sounds more like someone spilled their Comic-Con backpack all over Universal Studios Hollywood. I'm James H. Carr II from Creepy Kingdom, and for the past 15 years, we have been exploring the darker side of theme parks, haunted attractions, and beyond. So I'm going to break down what FanFest is actually like. What surprised me, what I would skip, what horror and spooky fans need to know, and whether it is worth the ticket price. And there was one completely unexpected Jurassic Park moment that kind of messed with my brain a little bit. One thing I want to say before we get into all this is that Creepy Kingdom was invited to attend by Universal. For complete transparency, we did not pay to attend this event, so clearly that is going to shape and frame what it is I'm going to say. And with that, when we're invited to an event as media, typically we get Express Pass added onto our virtual ticket or media ticket or whatever it is, our credentials, so that we can, cover as much as possible in the amount of time that we're there, which again, obviously, severely changes the impact and the experience that we have as opposed to someone that just buys a GA ticket. So it's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. In case you're unaware, exactly what exactly this is exactly. How many more times can I say exactly? It is an after-hours event at Universal Studios Hollywood, and similar to Halloween Horror Nights, and it's not part of your theme park ticket. It's an extra cost. Obviously, Disney has a whole bunch of these after-hours events. They have their Oogie Boogie Bash and Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and now Disney has a bunch of spring things, Disney Channel night, Star Wars night, etc., whatever. So this is one of those events, and it's taking these fandoms, letting you experience them, whether it be through a walkthrough attraction or a show or meet and greets, foods, all that kind of fun stuff. And another bonus thing here is that this is kind of like Comic-Con culture brought into the theme park world, because not only do you get to experience all these things, if you are so inclined to do so, you can cosplay. And typically at theme parks, you cannot wear any type of costuming because they don't want the other guests thinking that you are, a team member or a cast member at a different park. But for this event, they allow you to do it. So if you're so inclined to do that and you want to get these, take photos with some of your favorite characters while you're cosplaying, this is it. You can do it at this one. One other thing to note is that we went on opening night, and that's when they invite a bunch of media and content creators and VIP guests and whomever else to help build the hype and get the word out. And so they had a reception, and we spent the first hour at this reception, because who's going to turn down, open bar and free food? So plus, we got to fuel up to get ready for the night. So all that being said, if I were going there on a ticket that I bought, and of course there is no reception, I would eat, make sure I'm done eating before 7 p.m. And you want to get started right away, because we didn't get to do two of the things that took place. So if you want to make sure you get everything in, I'd recommend that. But we'll get more into strategy a little bit later. So this is more of a what stood out, what's worth your time, and what spooky fans should prioritize kind of review, as opposed to the full review of every single thing. But we did do most of it. So, and I will tell you what I would not wait for again, which actually surprised me. Once we wrapped up the old, media reception and got the party started, we headed right down to what I called the main event, the number one thing that I was anticipating. So I wanted to make sure that we went there first and got to spend the most time there and all that stuff. And that is, of course, Scooby-Doo meets the Universal Monsters, a Mystery on the Backlot. So yeah, this is on the Backlot, so you get to take the tram down there, and as you get on the tram, they give you the rundown of the backstory of what's going on here. And so they're filming a movie on the Backlot, and the Scooby Gang are the crew members for some reason, and there's someone let the Universal monsters loose on the set. And so we need to find out who's doing that. So that's the mystery. And they present, the suspects on this video on the tram. And then we learn that what we're going to be doing when we get there is when we get to the backlot, we have to investigate to figure out, the real mystery. So it's have that little bit of like escape room interactive kind of thing going on, as well as just being an immersive area with photo ops and show scenes, etc. I'm pretty sure it's kind of the first kind of like after hours event that was on Old Europe. I could be totally wrong on that, but it was it was definitely the first time that I've ever walked around the Old Europe set. And in case you're unaware, the Old Europe set is the places that they actually shot a lot of the Universal Monster films, the original films. So I love that kind of like legacy experience of this is where the magic was created, and now we're celebrating it in the same exact spot. Very similar to what they did last year, which was AA plus 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 plus, for they had a Back to the Future experience. I forget what it's called, but it was shot outside of the clock tower area where they obviously really did shoot the film and had a bunch of scenes from the movie play out. And it's, there's definitely something really cool about that. In the place where we've grown to love these stories, we get to kind of have our own experience there. I mean, that's definitely the uniqueness of Universal Studios Hollywood specifically, as opposed to other theme parks in the world. So that was pretty cool. And so the activation kind of has it so that you can explore the area on your own. And there's different like behind the scenes crew setup, crew meaning like film crew that the Scooby Gang is working on. And then what you're supposed to do is go to each of these stations and talk to them and ask them questions and explore what's going on there to figure out, get clues and figure out all that. I can just tell you straight up that I wasn't interested in doing that at all. So I can't speak to the how hard or clever or challenging the mystery solving is, because I didn't do it. Because my main objective there, of course, was to just document the environment and talk to the characters, which overall in theme parks, any theme park, when it comes to any face character, my number one favorite thing to do is just talk to them like in universe and just riff with them. And, there's so many talented performers in these theme parks, and they let you really just mentally check out even as a grown adult, and just, I mean, it's kind of like LARPing, I guess. I mean, I wasn't dressed up as anything, but I could be, right? And it's just fun to see where the conversations go, and that alone was great. And they let you, you pose for a quick photo. But of course, what about the Universal monsters? Well, they're just kind of roaming around, and there's some mystery voice who kind of is the person that's the villain in disguise, but he kind of takes over the set every 10 to 15 minutes, and there's like music cues and projections and all this stuff. And if you are near one of the Universal monsters, then they kind of do a little bit of like this kind of seem like catatonic or something like. It's a little bit of a little mini show scene. I was lucky enough to experience that with the bride of Frankenstein, it's a monster, and definitely one of the, if not the best Universal monster, one of the best, and it's always a pleasure just to kind of see her do her thing. They had the Wolfman kind of lurking around, which was like extremely amusing, because he was kind of acting more like a dog, which I guess kind of plays into the Scooby-Doo thing. He got the bride petted him and all that kind of fun stuff. With that, I mean, the Universal monsters do roam around Universal Studios Hollywood and probably Florida sometimes, randomly, but again, this being able to kind of have this, experiences and interactions on the place where the original films were shot is like super cool, and probably worth the price of admission if you're, horror fan, Universal Monsters fan, spooky pop culture fan, whatever. Like, because it's just a unique experience, and obviously, it has the dates that this is running, but it's not going to run forever. So that's what you want out of a after hours event that you're paying, a different ticket price for. You want a unique experience that is limited and that you may not ever have again. I will say though that I was kind of hoping that the whole experience would be a little scarier. Now, I knew it wouldn't be full on horror nights, jump scares, gore, whatever. Uh, but it was probably just a little more kid friendly than I thought. Now, obviously, the event, it's open to kids. It's open, to anyone that wants to go. But it's typically during the weeknights. It starts at 7. It's till 1 a.m. It's kind of geared towards adults. So I just kind of was hoping that it'd be a little scarier or spookier or whatever. But I know as I'm saying this, you're like, oh, it's Scooby-Doo, and I don't know. I mean, I am not like currently some huge Scooby-Doo fan, but definitely, enjoyed Scooby-Doo when I was a kid, and I noted as one of the early entries into seeing anything horror related at all. I always say Snow White was the first horror movie I saw, but I guess with that, Scooby-Doo was the first horror TV show I saw, I guess. So take that with a grain of salt. It's not, it's not really scary at all, to be quite honest. A little spooky-ish, but yeah, everything's kind of bright, and even with those moments, the show moments, they're not really scary. One kind of note here, and again, I'm not going to give any spoilers here, is that before you leave this area, there's a section called the Big Reveal, where the reveal of who the villain is exposed. And I will say, if you did not partake in any of the mystery solving activities, this would be one thing that I would recommend skipping. Like, it was totally fine. Like, it wasn't like bad or whatever, but it's kind of like, it was the thing that we had to wait the longest for, I guess. There is not an express part lane for this either. So I feel like we waited 20 or 30 minutes. And when they were talking about we have such limited time, that I would just, like, if you didn't try to solve the mystery and you don't need to know if you did it or not, I would skip it. Or, now I was going to say maybe, one of your person in your party could stand in line and then the other person switches off, but then people might think you're cutting, and I don't know. Whatever. Hopefully it's not that long all the time. I don't know. But, or they kind of do something to kind of tweak that. I'm not really sure what they can do, but I would just say that if I went again, I would not wait in line for the big reveal. But if you want to and you have time to kill, then it's amusing, and for sure. And while Scooby-Doo was more cute than creepy, Dungeons and Dragons is where this event starts to feel a little more like a Horror Nights experience. So the main thing about this one is that this is an experience that they brought back from last year, but it's so good and so immersive and so much fun that it's got a lot of repeat value. So even within the same evening or run. So I'm not surprised that they brought it back and left it intact as exactly as it was. If you experienced it last year, odds are you probably agree with me, and you'll be happy to do it again. And if you didn't experience last year, then it's brand new for you. So win, 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 win. And obviously, and a lot of us SoCal haunt enthusiasts know that it's, a lot of the haunts do the same mazes for several years in a row. So as fans of this stuff, it's not like a deal breaker that it was there before. But I guess it was just kind of funny because I didn't realize it was the same exact thing. I I knew that it was Dungeons and Dragons. I never did it last year, so I thought it was gonna be something else, and I didn't realize it until we started doing it. And then, but I still had fun with it. So even though I knew it was gonna happen, it's still awesome. And with that, I will say that I don't really know much about Dungeons and Dragons. I know like the style of gameplay that it is, but that's really it. I don't know anything about the characters or the lore or have any context at all for what we experience. And I will say you don't need it. Like they do the storytelling here is great. You know exactly all you need to know just to go on the journey. And the way that it kind of feels, then compare it to, is like if medieval times made a haunt, basically. Not even just in its theming, but in the humor. And you have these guides that kind of guide you through the experience, and they kind of seem similar to the performers in the at medieval times. But beyond that, when I say like a haunt, I mean it's more of the immersive walkthrough experience. There's no jump scares or anything like that at all. So again, not scary in the haunt traditional way, but immersive like a haunt. It's funny when you say something's like a haunt, like so many different things come to people's mind, but that's why I'm trying to clarify exactly what I'm trying to say here. Um, and one of my favorite things about theme park haunts in general, but theme park haunts is the immersion. I'm pretty desensitized to jump scares, and I'm also not seeking them. I appreciate a good bait and switch, but the main draw for me is the immersion, and this experience definitely is probably the most immersive out of all the FanFest offerings. And the giant creature in the end is it's just spectacular. It's one of those things that lets you know, like, oh, this is a special event. This isn't like cheaply thrown together. It seems like it's like a permanent thing. Like, it doesn't seem like a temporary thing. Like, I can't even. Yeah, no, there's been some Horror Nights things where I was like, wow, those are really impressive things just for Horror Nights run. The Alien versus Predator finale comes to mind, the one at Hollywood. But if you experience that, and you know what I'm talking about, they brought that back a few times. But it's super impressive. And without spoiling it, since it's an interactive experience for everyone, the way that you have to battle it to destroy it is like super amusing. Yeah, there's this real like tongue-in-cheek humor to this whole thing too, which really makes it so like anything that would be scary, I guess, is kind of, made to be a little silly. Like, I'd imagine as a young child coming across this creature could be pretty scary, but the way you defeat it is so silly that, it probably stop scaring any kid. I don't know. Depends how scared your kids are of things. I don't know. So, in short, it's not scary, but it has haunt energy. It has that we better keep moving because something weird is going on vibe to it that we all kind of crave from haunts. So definitely a highlight of the event. Well, the next thing we did was the offering in Super Nintendo, which was the colorful Yoshi celebration. So essentially what happens is that at certain times, different colored Yoshis come out and they do a little dance and you could take a photo with them. And I guess if that's something that's exciting to you, then that's important to you. I mean, I know my sister really likes Yoshi, so that would be important to her if she went. And I'm sure a lot of people really like Yoshi. This was cute. I'm not going to pretend a yellow Yoshi, changed my life, but I did take the picture. I'm not made of stone. It's kind of like a break, I guess, going in there. It's low pressure. I mean, there wasn't a lot of people in there while I was there. It's fine. But on the flip side, I will say that Mario Kart was closed while we were there. I don't know if it's closed for the night. I was just having to close at that moment. It's advertised as being available and open and as being, I'm pretty sure that is the newest attraction that has opened. Wow. Yeah, I know they have Fast and Furious coming up, but very soon, the coaster. But It usually has a very long wait time. So, these type of special events, I like to hop on Mario Kart when there's not a long line. But it was close. So, I don't know. Hopefully it's open when you're there. Get a Yoshi pick and take a quick Mario Kart ride, I guess. But the biggest surprise of the night was not one of the big advertised things. It was something that was hidden off to the side. And I might have even completely missed it if someone didn't tell me it was there at the reception. I'm not sure whether they're keeping this a secret. Maybe they want a little bit of discovery. I don't know. But there is an exhibit called Jurassic Park Through the Years. It is separated from the main Jurassic World area. In fact, like you can't even see them both at the same time, like because the escalator is separating them. This exhibit is near the side of the Mummy ride, where they typically have they usually have a Horror Nights haunt on the side of the Mummy, and then they have the queue over in this area. So I really like that they were like, oh, we can't mix Jurassic World and Jurassic Park. They have to exist in their own space. And you can't. I mean, I'm sure if there's certain points that you could look and see both, but for the most part, you can't see both, which is great. So what this is that it's an in-universe exhibit of some of the greatest accomplishments and moments of the Jurassic Park theme park. Parks or whatever. All the things from the original trilogy. And with that, you have some of the characters from the original films there to hang out and to and interact, and kind of like you're like it's a museum exhibit. The exhibit itself, it's pretty well done as far as like something like that goes. Especially for an unadvertised thing. Like it's pretty seems like something you'd see in a museum or something like that. And yeah, I have to go back and look and figure it out, but it seems very similar to something they had when a few years back they did the 25th anniversary Jurassic Park fan event at Universal Studios Hollywood, which we attended as paying patrons. That was not as media. Just want to just had to be clear when we pay for stuff and when we don't. But this was just like a one night event, so there was no media for it. And that event, they had a few things. You watched the movie at City Walk on the IMAX screen, and then they had a few surprise people there from the film doing like presentations, and then there was a walkthrough exhibit that was similar to this per my recollection. But regardless, really the real awesome thing going on here is hanging out with the characters. Again, like I said, I love talking to the characters and kind of riffing with them, and this will definitely be the highlight of your night. So a walk around, meet and greet character Dr. Ian Malcolm. The guy that was portraying Dr. Ian Malcolm just did an impeccable Jeff Goldblum impression. Like, it's eerie. Like, he may not looked exactly like him, but he sounded exactly like him, and he had his mannerisms down.
I do have a message for you.
Yeah, what? Yes.
I was told that you once said that when Pirates of the Caribbean break down, that the pirates don't eat the tourists.
Yes.
And I'm here to report they do.
The pirates eat the tourists?
Yes.
Oh, God. You're not one of them, right? You're not one of the pirates. You're not going to bite me?
No, I'm not eating any.
See, you didn't go for my finger, right?
No.
That would have been a good sign.
I'm not eating any. I'm not a cannibal.
Good. Okay, you're not cannibal. I didn't say you're a pirate, though, right?
No, I'm not a pirate.
Okay, good. You're not a pirate. That's a totally different situation here.
Yes.
We're dealing with dinosaurs right now, and they do eat people, so be careful.
Okay, thank you for that.
Good. Looking out for you, buddy.
And it was mesmerizing just to watch him kind of go. And, I ended up talking with him for our little meet and greet moment. Mind you, there's not like an official queue line set up here. They're just kind of hanging out. But with this character, people kind of formed queues because, you know, everyone wanted to to meet and take their photo and chat with Dr. Ian Malcolm, who was not doing the sexy pose. But you know, that would have, I don't know, maybe that's next year or next time. No, that guy was absolutely phenomenal. I posted a little clip of that conversation on social media, and just the comments, people were just blown away. Just like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. He sounds exactly like Jeff Goldblum. I've had the pleasure of meeting Jeff Goldblum, and besides just watching him on film, but just that like face to face, person to person interaction, and I mean, it was pretty similar. So much so that my brain kind of is like blurring these two experiences together. So I don't know, dude. It is this might actually be worth the price of admission. So it was cool. They also had Newman. I know the character's name isn't Newman. I know the actor's name isn't Newman, but he's just always Newman to me. Sorry. Wayne Knight, is that his name? I don't know. Either way, again, like the guy might not have like looked exactly like him, but he sounded exactly like him. And he just, the things that he was riffing on was so funny. Like I was watching him for several minutes. And when I had a chance to talk to him, I showed him a photo of me dressed up as him for Halloween a few years ago.
Yeah, you're my hero.
Man of good taste.
And I dressed up as you.
Oh my goodness. That is a handsome looking man right there.
I even shaved my beard for the first time just so I could dress exactly like you.
I'm getting kind of emotional right now. Honestly, I've never seen something so hilariously goofy. I mean, look at you.
Yeah, very cool experience. Not sure why it's not advertised. Maybe they do want it to be a surprise. I mean, you could totally miss it. I don't even remember seeing a sign that it was there. Like, I just went looking for it because somebody that worked at Universal at the reception told me it was there. So, pro tip there. Mummy Q, go talk to the doctor. And then we ended the night with something that I didn't think was going to hit me emotionally, but it did. Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, the musical. I can't even say this. Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, the Miracle, Moon Palace, Chapter Deluxe. My brain cannot retain that series of words to save my life. I have, but I respect it so much that I want to say it in its entirety. It's just not the Sailor Moon thing. It is Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, the Miracle, Moon Palace, Chapter Deluxe. My main takeaway from this is that it's a nostalgic, it's adorable, it's surprisingly effective finale with just enough creepy and fantasy action to just keep me locked in. So this takes place at the DreamWorks Theater, and it is a 4D short film. Back in the late 90s, I definitely watched Sailor Moon, the original series. I probably have seen all the episodes, so I was like very familiar with the characters, but certainly not familiar with this, whatever version of Sailor Moon this is at all. But so I was just kind of going along on the journey. Let's see what we got. But right away, like this had all the elements that just reminded me of why I enjoyed watching the show, all those years ago. And I thought it was really cool that everything was in Japanese. So it just seemed a little bit more, authentic. And, it's something that, it just it's all it's the intended work of the artist to present it in the way that they created it. I always appreciate that. I don't like to watch overdub movies. I'll read the subtitles. They put subtitles up on the screen. It's totally fine. I actually kind of it just worked. I just preferred it being in Japanese, and it gave me a little taste of what I was thinking. Like when I finally get to go to the Japanese theme parks, what it'll be like when I don't know what they're saying. But the entertainment value of these attractions is so high, and if you have some context who the characters are, you know, you can you can kind of figure it out and follow along without knowing exactly the words they're saying. The one thing at the end of this, when they, when they did what they needed to do, they decided to celebrate by doing ballroom dancing, and this like string quartet version of the Sailor Moon theme started playing, and that's when the nostalgia really hit me, because it's like that theme song is like an earworm, the original theme song, and just hearing this kind of like nice version of it as like a victory celebration for what they just did, I was just like, this is so cute and adorable. And it was really, honestly, it was like the perfect way to end the night. Just a lot of walking, obviously, and just to maybe I don't know, maybe I should do it mid evening. No, I don't do that, because it's right it's on the way out. It's like my tips for going to after hours events at Universal Hollywood is go as far back as you possibly can go, backlot, wherever else you are, and then work your way back. That's how you're gonna get the most done. But it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I wish that it was there all the time. I mean, the Kung Fu Panda thing is fine. Like I'll do it if I can, like while I'm there. But because I kind of wish the Sailor Moon thing was there all the time. They did have a meet and greet outside, which, as far as I saw, was the longest queue for meet and greet characters. Most of the characters don't have a queue, because they're just kind of roaming. But yeah, this one had a very long queue, and it was filled with people in Sailor Moon cosplay and just having these emotional moments. And by that point of the night, it was like, I think it was like 12:45 by the time I got out of the show. So I was ready to tap out, and I didn't particularly want to wait in that line, but big hit. Just kind of seeing on social media afterwards, kind of the things that resonated with people. Obviously, Scooby-Doo and Universal Monsters was a big one, but the Sailor Moon really, really, there's a really unserved fan base here that I had no idea that Sailor Moon fandom was still running so strong, to be quite honest with you. And yeah, like I said, I wish that this show was there all the time, because I really enjoyed it. So after doing all that, the big question is Universal Fan Fest worth paying for? My main takeaway here is that I love this event. I loved it last year. I loved it this year. And I get super excited about, the major theme parks doing these temporary immersive experiences. Whether it's, IP I'm a fan of or not, I love them. I love them. I will say that this kind of gets me, like, this meaning Universal Fan Fest nights, even if I don't know what it is or super familiar with the IP, the Universal After Hours reputation is enough to get me through the door, as opposed to really most of the Disneyland After Hours event, everything outside of Oogie Boogie Bash. I've never gone to any other ones, so I can't speak firsthand, but there's never been anything at any of them that has made me want to go. I guess just say that. So, I mean, the only one that I probably would go to is maybe the Star Wars one, but even with that, there's, like I said, I've never actually been like, oh, let's buy the ticket, let's pull the trigger. I think Oogie Boogie Bash is one of the greatest theme park experiences ever created. Like, I am obsessed with Oogie Boogie Bash, but that's probably not a shock based on Creepy Kingdom and all that stuff. But with that, I still think that, and the reason let's back. I love that they bring us into the spooky Disney stuff because it's my favorite stuff on the planet, but they could go further and they could bring it to Universal, Fan Fest level, even at that. How about that? So, because the quality's there, the attention to details there. It is, it's great. Another thing too, it kind of makes me nostalgic too because it reminds me of things that Universal used to do when I was younger. And one thing that really stood out to me in my memory and just throughout the years was when they'd have these like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle weekends, and that was like that's like, oh, I loved it so much because really, I mean, that's what they did. They built a sewer set. You get to walk through it and shredders at the end. And so again, you're kind of getting this like little haunt experience, and it was temporary. So the fact that they're bringing this stuff in and giving you these experiences of all these different fandom, I think is great. But to answer the question this video asked as its thesis question, is that even a thing? A thesis question? Is Universal Fan Fest Night scary? And, not really. It's got some spooky stuff in there to satisfy us, people that love spooky stuff. But it's definitely more about the immersion and the storytelling than being scary by any means at all. For the Creepy Kingdom audience, Scooby-Doo, Universal Monsters, Dungeons and Dragons, and Jurassic Park, that's going to be your must-dos. That's going to, be the best things for your evening. The Sailor Moon experience is an emotional wild card for you. Kind of evens that out a little bit. The Nintendo thing, unless you're a big fan of Yoshi, you're probably good on that. So if you went to Universal Fan Fest Nights and, what did you think of my view of it? Do you have a different opinion? Definitely want to hear what you thought. If you have not gone and then you go and then you have your own thoughts, and I definitely want to hear that as well. Until next time, keep it creepy.
Thank you for watching, and thank you to our sponsors and Patreon producers for making this video possible. Hit the subscribe button so the creepy fun never has to end. This is Hannah reminding you to keep it creepy.